We were talking about Robert Kraft
Yep.
and his role in this. And to further that point that Phil has made, which is Elliot Wolf's actions this week could be a reflection of doing what his boss wants him to do. And he's also in a position of needing to actually be named to the job he's doing, which is the team's general manager. They'll interview candidates after the draft later this spring. Could it also be that the reason this is all happening is because the owner is pushing a slow rebuild? We saw the report from Karen Guregian going back to last week that there will be patience with Elliot Wolf and with Gerard Mayo. Patience will be part of the process here, that they will be given ample time to build this next great Patriots team.
I think the most interesting thing as we move forward to a different regime here is that you have answers more quickly than you have in the past, where you didn't get anything out of Bill. You got nothing. Like close to the vest, shut it down, nothing gets out. Like they talk there. And I think we're going to find out things, just based on, things that have progressed here and, the off-the-record conversations they've had with beat guys. You were down there for part of them, one of them, right? After they introduced the coordinators, you got a chance to chat. Like, it's never been done before. So I think it's a more open approach. I don't know if that's good or if that's
How does that
bad.
relate to the spending? How does that relate to
Well,
the
I
plan?
think meaning we're going to get an answer on it. We never really got the answer.
Why
It's
they
like,
have or
is
haven't
it-
spent,
right.
you're saying.
Well,
okay.
It took 24 years until Robert said it's on Bill. Bill earned that right.
But a slow
Everything's
build,
final with Bill.
a slow build is less expensive than a fast, accelerated build.
Generally speaking.
Generally speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And listen, I would give Robert Kraft some credit. If he's open to a slow build and you feel as though that's really the right way to do it, and you're 80-plus years old, whatever he is now, and you've been wanting
83.
to win and contend. I mean, he's been saying 3 years ago he was saying he wanted to get back to contention.
But he can do both. That's the part that I say, you're right. Building through the draft is important. Drafting well is very important to building a good team, without a doubt. But that doesn't mean you also then can't be spending and can't be participating in a big way in free agency. You can still be a much more competitive team in the short term, even if you don't have all the pieces.
I mean, you look at the reset the Texans had too,
But it costs money.
and moving on from there. And then when Nick got down there, and Nick probably wants to do a lot of things the way Bill did things. That's the way Nick was trained. But I think he's adapted a little bit and stripped it down to where then you got to nail the draft, and that's a whole nother part of it. Like you look at San Francisco, they nailed Kittle in the 5th round. Like that doesn't happen. We nailed Brady in the 6th round. We know that history. But Ayuk, Samuel, Yushik, they nailed those picks. Then you go and you buy a left tackle. You get the best left tackle in the game. It's going to help a young developing quarterback. So what's the model to follow? But I do think it starts with the draft and keeping your guys. That's a big part of it. It is. And I think that's what's helped San Francisco do that. They keep their guys. And they could go and give 3 number ones to try and move up and lose that and then trade the player away for a 4. Like those are fireable offenses, but yet they're in a Super Bowl. So you tell me what's right and what's wrong. Look at the way Pittsburgh does it.
I just think you give those rookies a better chance at success if they come into a situation where there are competent pieces around them. And the Patriots, unfortunately for them, are in a place right now with their roster that there aren't enough competent pieces around the guys that you're hoping to bring in at premium positions who are really young to be able to have immediate success. Mm-hmm. Quarterback's the obvious one.
But Pittsburgh, I bring up Pittsburgh, Phil. Let's go back to them. But
sure.
Pittsburgh has struggled, but still maintained the ability to be competitive at the quarterback position. Post Roethlisberger. Look, talking post Roethlisberger. Yeah, they drafted Kenny Pickett, number 1. Rudolph's been there. They hung their hat on Trubisky to bring in him and give him money, let him start games. You could tell after a quarter he should never be starting a game. But yet, they draft well at receiver. They draft well at tight end. They're pretty good at O-line. Their defense, what'd they give up? 2 1s to go get Fitzpatrick back in the day? Minka? Was it 2 1s or a 1? May have been a 1. It was a lot.
Right.
They drafted well corner. They got Joey Porter. They just picked up the kid Queen from Baltimore, 3 years, $30 million or whatever. Like they mix and match guys. They'll pay and they'll draft well, but they're looking at quarterback. That's why they're in on Russ. They need help. I don't know what the model is.
I think where the Patriots and Packers ways can align with spending and spending a lot in free agency is the better your team is in the here and now, the better your draft picks will look and the better chance at having success those draft picks will have. So if you're set on finding gems in the draft and building through the draft, well, your quarterback obviously is going to have more success next year if you sign Tyron Smith and Calvin Ridley, right? If you draft a right tackle, you want to play Onwenu at guard, that guy's going to be better off because you paid Mike Onwenu to maybe play guard right next to that young player. So spending money it shouldn't just be viewed in a vacuum as investments on individual players. Those are investments in your team as a group and in your organization's ability to nurture young talent. And that's what both the Packers and the Patriots, Robert Kraft, Elliott Wolf, all of them, that's what they all want.
And to win games. Win more games.
And there's that.
Win 7 games instead of 4 games. Win 9 games instead of 6 games, right? Win more games. Have a more competitive product. Have something that's more worth your time than it would be otherwise without spending the money. And oh, by the way, everyone is still showing up to the games paying the highest prices going, okay? So you owe it to everybody.
And the crazy thing is, even going back to the draft a year ago, like your team's not good enough to be drafting kickers in the 4th round. When you had an automatic veteran kicker that didn't miss, that never missed a Nick Folk. You drafted a kicker and a punter last year. How's that made your football team better? And I'm not minimizing special teams. The punter had a good year. But I think we all know where the kickoff's heading. And the kid was not good at field goals and extra points. So what adjustment are you going to make there? Like, that's another problem you got to fix. Not good to draft those guys where you drafted them last year. Just saying. Based on the results. And the amount of needs you had on this team. I would have rather had another crack at a receiver that could have popped.